seen in Transformers 4. It is the paratrooper, CROSSHAIRS. He drops down from the sky like a thief in the night and just starts shooting the crap out of the bad guys. Anyway, so yeah, he's a memorial car in green with looks like maybe a Corvette according to the symbol on the front. Some sort of that with some green stripy streak patterns on the stripy streak beaks patterns, as my tongue got all tied up to say. One side and fairly clean on the other with a little Autobot logo down here. Now the wheels themselves are the kind of just pop-on wheels that have been much maligned on recent figures, but the way they're done and the fact that they have some nice silver painted rims, they don't. They roll really well, and they don't come off as cheap because they look much nicer than just the plain hollow black wheels that have been pegged on. They do just snap right into the slots there. Underneath you can see the base of the robot mode. And he pretty much comes like this, but with his arms out in the package. Like he pretty much comes exactly as a car, but with his arms out. It's kind of silly. He looks weird in the package. You can see his Tech 9 pegged here under the vehicle mode, and I only know the name of that weapon because I watched Vangelis's review. I'm not real familiar with non-fictional weapons. Sci-fi weapons, I can name a few, but yeah. He's also got a couple pistols that store up here under the arm flaps, and we'll get to that in a minute. But a nice vehicle mode, and just to compare him to Evasion Mode Optimus here, you can see he's actually, compared to the truck, pretty decent size compared to Voyager Optimus Prime's Alt Mode. But again, Robot Mode is a entirely different story. So yeah, to transform him, you want to start off down here. The arm flaps peg in to these little tabs right here, and it's clear plastic, and it's a little tough to get them apart. So I'm a little worried that these are gonna, stress or crack at some point because I don't trust clear plastic. And I've actually already got a couple little stress marks around the pin that holds these rubber flaps in right out of the package, and that's a little disappointing. It's been holding up just fine, but clear plastic always makes me a little sketchy. We pop those off right there, and you want to lift this back piece up, unhinge that, get this untabbed from back here, and then this whole assembly right here lifts up and down, and that frees up the arms to move about. The wheels flip back here, and that gives you a little bit more shoulder movement and a little bit more freedom to bend the arms. Otherwise, these arm pieces get in the way of the wheels, or vice versa. I don't like, I'll tell you right now before we even go any further than that, I don't like the way that this panel comes so far forward, and unlike with Optimus, you don't have the option of twisting his arm and rotating the fist. He's just got this giant panel sticking out past his hand, which is a little off-putting. So make sure we're focused here. Whoop. All right. And you pull these out, and then you untab the sides here that are going to become his trench coat. Under the headlight. Now the headlights aren't painted, they're just green with some clear plastic over them. In fact, a lot of the construction is painted clear plastic, like this whole back assembly and these side panels are all clear with just paint on the outside of them. But because of the clearness of it, if you wanted to get behind these headlights and just come on the inside and like even use just a silver Sharpie on the inside of that clear piece, you could make the headlights look a little better. And again, it probably wouldn't rub off because it's on the inside, and even if it did, you can just re-Sharpie it. But you can improve the look of those headlights if you wish. And then you unpeg everything from here, bring the backpack out, pull the feet down, rotate there at the thigh, and then flip his heels out. These are a little loose. He stands just fine, but if you lean him too far forward, he will just kind of whoomp because these are not really tight joints here on mine. And then the rubber panels come around, and you can see underneath there's a little gun on each side that pegs in right up here at the top of the panel with its peg. So he's got the big Tech 9 and then a couple of smaller pistols. That again, you can see it's pegged in right up here in the panel. And pop that out. Now these panels are supposed to come around and peg in to the chest, and they do that. But sometimes the finagling takes a little bit of effort to get it in there, to go in there just right. And then even when you do, there's like that one went in fairly easily and it's nice and tight. This one is a little bit harder. And then when you do, unless you like really get this out of the way, it's very easy to like try to position something else and knock one of these out just enough to pop it right back out. It's kind of a frustrating experience with these rubber panels unless you do them last or until you find a pose you like. But we'll go ahead and try to get this one in. This one, like I said, this one's been giving me trouble the whole time. And then, like I said, trying to get the right angle to push this in all the way while working around like the shoulder joints and the elbow pads and everything else is kind of a pain in the butt. It all just kind of wants to run together. And like I said, it would help if I could get at it from this angle, but when I go like this, I end up just pushing the shoulders back a lot further than I should. And then when I go to adjust them later, they end up hitting the thing and popping the rubber panel right back out again, which is incredibly frustrating. So yeah, he stands up and you see like there's the basic, and it's kind of flat. It does look kind of like he's got a coat on, which was the intent, but it makes it very jammed, and everything just kind of collides against each other. And it's kind of a shame because I love his design, I love his action in the trailer, and I really like the idea of the flowy coat from the car parts. I was really excited by that trench coat look, and like I said, it's hard to pull off in a hard plastic toy. You can get a little bit of movement right here. You can actually bend this back at this hinge, and again, with that clear plastic, very worried about how it's going to work, or about the long-term stress. But if you're really careful and just kind of support it right around where the pin is, you can actually pop that back a little bit, which frees up a little bit more room around these pieces. So if you want to position the legs, you're not trying to squeeze it in between here and popping everything out of joint. You can actually get a little bit more grip and range of motion out of the legs. And that allows for a much more dynamic posing of the figure. So, like, as much as I hate messing with that joint, it's very scary the first couple of times you do it. I mean, I think it's going to stay scary forever as long as that clear plastic is there. But you can get that a little bit out of the way to give you a little bit more access and range of motion to the figure itself. I mean, again, he can hold either one of his pistols. I just plug this one in. And then you can have him dual pistol. You can have him hold the two little pistols. Now, the Tech 9 was plugged in to his leg in vehicle mode, and you can actually use that same post on either leg. It's right down here on his knee. You can actually use that to holster the pistol if you wish. You can kind of have it store there along his leg in robot mode. If you don't want to have him hold any pistols, they all store under the flaps or on his thigh, which is nice. And again, I'm kind of with Vangelis. I do wish he'd had two of the guns. He had like two of these Tech 9s like he had the trailer. But you can kind of replicate the same thing with the small pistols. It just doesn't look quite as impressive. There's no waist swivel, and his head really only turns left and right just due to the neck and the shoulder armor, or I guess the collar of his jacket. The arms are limited. Everything on this guy, with the exception of the legs, is limited, and even they're limited a little bit by where you position the flaps. But I think they've got the most range of motion on it. But he is very dynamic, and you can get some really nice action shots out of him, especially if you want to, just make him kind of look like he's got this flowy coat on, getting ready to move in on an unsuspecting Decepticon as he parachutes from the sky or lands behind enemy lines and creeps up. I love the idea of the character. I'm looking forward to seeing him in motion in the screen. The toy he's one of the weaker ones of the wave. I don't have Slug or Bumblebee yet. I'll get them tomorrow. But so far, he's one of the weaker ones of the wave. Like Grimlock's good. Scorn is really great. And this guy's okay. Evasion Mode Optimus, I think, is still my star of the wave, unless Bumblebee or Slug just really wow me. But yeah, he's not bad. And he's just a fun. He's fun. And I like some of the ideas they're trying with this figure. But overall, he's just got a few little problems that I wouldn't say rush out to get him first. There are other figures, like if you can only afford a few, I'd say so far, Scorn and Evasion Mode Optimus are the ones to get. And really, if you can only afford one figure from this line, so far, and from what I've seen of future waves, Evasion Mode Optimus is a lot of fun. I wish they painted him a little better, like I said, but he's a lot of fun. And speaking of Evasion Mode Optimus, there he is right there as a size comparison. You saw in car mode, they look very similar in mass, but in robot mode, you can see that Prime is, in fact, much larger than CROSSHAIRS. And part of it is because CROSSHAIRS does have a pretty major backpack there, and also just because Voyager Prime, he just is really good at compacting up, and then unfolds to a much larger height. So yeah. If you want to spot him on the shelf, he does come in the new big bright white Transformers logo on the side, which is actually kind of neat, because on the blister card here, it's actually clear with a white background on the card, so it still pops just like the Voyager boxes where it's printed, but gives you a little bit of look at the figure behind it in case they do take up a little bit more space in the blister cards. The smaller blister card packs these guys in nice and tight, so you don't actually have any twist ties. There's a couple little rubber bands that hold a couple of placeholder pieces of plastic onto crosshairs for shipment purposes, but other than that, there's no twist ties, which is really nice. The guns store up here, and some really nice card art, and again, it would be nice to have seen some more of these colors on the toy itself. He's a lot of black and green with just enough silver to pick out some detail. It's functional, but I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more. Although again, he is mostly covered with paint. Most of the panels are paint, and then there's the background with the bio and the pictures of the figure. And again, speaking of all the paint, I mean, like, just pretty much all of him. Like I said, these side panels are all clear plastic covered with black and green paint. This whole cover, this is all clear plastic with green and black paint. This is up here. I don't know if this is clear plastic or green plastic that's painted up here. This is actually black plastic, but with shiny black paint on the outside to give it more of a high-end look. And then up here, you can see there's some green. This is actually a green plastic piece painted black up above. So, and then all of the black details on both the side of the car and the rear bumper, and then here on the chest and some silver. He's actually got quite a lot of paint on him. It's just a lot of it is huge swaths of black and green, and there wasn't enough to really pick out the detail, like the kind of red and blue goggles and things like that. I would at least like to have seen maybe a little bit of the darker silver up here to pick out the goggles, but oh well. All in all, he's some neat ideas, and he's a fun little toy. But like I said, if you're on a budget and you're looking at Wave 1, I think there are other figures that should take priority before you pick up Crosshairs, unless you just have a huge attachment to the character, either from the movie. Obviously, if you're going out after the movie has been released, and you just really, really like the character, obviously that's a great reason to pick up a toy of the people you like. But just if you're just collecting as a collector, I think there's much better value for your money here in Wave 1. So, not bad, but not the most amazing. It is Transformers Age of Extinction Deluxe Crosshairs.